for change to happen in life, you have to be at such a low point for you to even recognize that something has to change in your life. It all comes down to self-awareness, being able to say, you know what, I need to change something in my life.
Absolutely.
What I would recommend, remove all the distractions in your life. Just put your phone to the side and just sit with yourself.
By the time they turn 30, more than 3 in 4 millennials have faced major trauma. And if you're feeling anxious, burnt out, or like you're quietly falling apart behind the scenes, you're not alone. On this episode, we sit down with someone who didn't just survive his breaking point. He slowly, painfully rebuilt a life worth living. From a childhood uprooted at age 8, to a freak accident that shattered his future, to years of depression, panic, and a deep, quiet rage that no achievement could fix. This is a conversation about what healing actually looks like when your old life no longer fits the person you're becoming. We talk about the invisible weight of trauma that never got named, why passion isn't enough when your soul is exhausted, the myths we're told about resilience, and the gentler truths underneath, and what it means to feel lost in identity, ambition, masculinity, and meaning. If you're tired of pretending you're okay, if you're questioning everything and don't know where to begin, if you're in that space between who you were and who you're becoming, this episode is for you. Can We Talk starts now.
I reckon this might be the most important conversation I might have ever had in my life.
Oh,
I think it's about to be transformational for myself and obviously for the viewers as well. Because Constitutional Hall, we had to go through before we get the setup, right?
Yeah.
So I reckon, it's for a reson. Someone's about to be blessed, Someone's life's about to be transformed because obviously, you're pack loaded. You're ready to go, obviously. Again, thanks for making out time to be here today. And so do you want to go straight in?
Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Let's go. Without much ado, we're talking about hope, pain, purpose, transformation. And they say, confronting emotional pain rewires the brain. And for a lot of people, that personal starts rewiring the brain and after trauma. So what would you say about individuals who are currently, facing the situation where it's they're hopeless? There's no hope, for better law in their lives?
Wow, that is huge way to start this, right? I think first of all with hope, I have been in such a dark place. I have been, when I was 21, 22, I was having constant panic attacks, as in I was sitting there because I had this crazy injury at university and it took me 10 months to get off crutches and then 2 years to actually learn how to run again. And in that moment, you lose so much hope and you're in such a dark place. But what I would say is there's always light. You've got to try and find the light. It could be so thin. But what I always felt was the tunnel was so dark, but right at the end of the tunnel, there was light and there was hope. And back when I was that age, 12, 13, 14 years ago, the lens on mental well-being and wellness was just not there. And so I feel like I had to figure out all myself.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, there were definitely, the movement was still there.
Yeah,
I just wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, we're gonna get right into that. Because I've got loads of questions to to ask you. And more importantly, a 2021 report by the National Institute of Health reports that about 76% of millennials experience major trauma before they're 30.
Wow.
And you live that reality from accidents, depression, panic attacks.
Yeah.
So for someone carrying that hidden trauma, where does real healing really start?
Yeah, I think for me, for sure, and I'd say for most people, again, I have to caveat this in saying that I'm not a psychologist, not a psychotherapist. I've tried many different modalities and I've been on a healing journey and I've gone from being in a place of incredible pain and suffering to a place now where I'm really thriving and loving every moment of my life and trying to be as present as possible.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to caveat that. I would say it all comes down to self-awareness. That is the first step, recognizing Because often, I come across depressed people now, and their energy is so stuck.
I think it's so prevalent.
Yeah, it's so prevalent, but like a lot of people don't realize the situation they're in. So my psychotherapist has an amazing line, and she talks about how people don't come to see her when they're doing okay, or when they're just like, they come to see her when they are literally crawling.
At the very end of the tunnel.
Exactly, and they are so low, and they literally need someone to take them up.
Absolutely.
So at times, it really, for change to happen in life, you have to be at such a low point for you to even recognize that something has to change in your life.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to self-awareness, being able to say, you know what, I need to change something in my life.
Absolutely.
And so what I would recommend, because it's worked for me, and it's something that I've heard a lot of times on my podcast as well, is you've got to remove all the distractions in your life. Just put your phone to the side and just sit with yourself for a bit and start feeling into your body. We don't give ourselves enough time at the moment, because
I mean, it's like you rightly said, it's distractions everywhere. Like you rightly said, I mean, the mobile phones, it's noisy, it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Just being able to like lean into yourself and feel your feelings and just kind of process your thoughts. It's luxury these days.
Yeah.
It's like a very fast-paced world that we are in now, and it's as simplistic as it might sound, I think is really, it takes a lot of intentionality to actually go through that process.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, you've someone like you've seen it all, like you've felt it all, and obviously you've come at the end of it, transformed, thriving mentally, emotionally, financially, and clearly there's a lot to learn. And I mean, we can just circle back a little bit back to the very start.
Yeah.
When you were 8, you were sent to boarding school.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's like a major emotional shift for a young child.
Yeah.
And I mean, what were the early coping mechanisms that you developed, in that period, like a young, pretty much 8, just thrusted into the wall to figure it out by yourself? How were you able to literally just build yourself up from that and just, manage all of that, transformation from being with your parents and being in that environment where you're just pretty much by yourself?
Yeah, so I was sent to choir school. So I was singing as a choir boy at Westminster Cathedral.
Okay.
And so it was, my mum said to me, like, do it for the Virgin Mary, right? Like, I was raised as a Catholic boy, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting situation because, we're going from Cheltenham to London, so a bit of the context. I would say at that age, you're so like removed from your emotions to really get. Yeah. For me, it was overeating. I remember we used to have a tuck shop where we would go and have the opportunity to buy sweets. I'd honestly be picking out Haribo's, crisps, everything. And back then, that was my coping mechanism, and also my daydreaming. I would constantly I used to think when I was younger that everyone used to daydream all the time. I remember sitting in bed at night and I would just start my brain would just go off.
How far did you travel?
And I would travel. Honestly, I would create these crazy imagination lands. They were related to Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, everything.
What roles were you playing in this fantasy?
Your brain would go on. You'd always be the hero, right?
Of course.
The guy who would make the money and everything.
Yeah.
Back then, you weren't thinking about other stuff. You were thinking about, armies and all this. And so that was the way that I coped. And actually, I'm so grateful for that education.
Of course.
Very intense. We were singing from the morning to the evening. We were violin practice.
So was it like a regular curriculum, like the normal doing maths, English, or was it just the whole thing?
It was all, so school during the day, and then evenings, mornings was singing. So singing, violin, piano. So it was pretty intense, but now in hindsight, so grateful for it. It was very much the building blocks of musicality that I have now. There's a big connection between music and maths, actually.
Interesting.
So I don't it was an amazing experience, and I feel very privileged for it as well.
Absolutely, because I mean, amongst the other things like you learn in boarding schools, I was sent to boarding school as well.
No way.
Yeah,
okay.
when I think I was about 10 or 11.
Oh,
so I can relate to. That's what, like, obviously, that's why I'm like particularly like interested in how that impacted you. Because I was sent in I was about 10 or 11
in Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria,
okay,
and obviously it wasn't music, but it was like proper, the normal. And for a lot of like young people or like children growing up in Nigeria, like a good number of them actually went to boarding school.
Okay.
And oftentimes it's probably like due to like the the schedule of the parents, and just it's kind of like more convenient for you to just be somewhere where you're kind of hopefully you're safe and you're thriving, you're learning. But I think more importantly it was the independence that you had to learn in that environment. Like you had to learn to take care of yourself, wash your clothes, now to just, protect yourself, navigate, like seniors and juniors and whatnot. So I think that kind of helped me personally just be more self-sufficient and independent and just tough, because it's like you're by yourself, you can't just have mommy, daddy, just cater to you every time. So, I mean, it definitely has a way it impacts you as a person.
100%. You know what? But the school was pretty small. It felt like it was almost a cute school. But actually, for me, it got harder when I went to high school. After that.
Yeah. So speaking of high school, uni was where it all changed. Yeah. The freak accident.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's funny. Like when you were 16, 17, especially in the UK, back in late 2010, 2008.
Of course.
If you drank, you like one of the boys, right? You'd be the guy partying.
Yeah.
And so when I was 15, 16, I just took on that role. And I was...
You're the guy.
I was the guy I was the one partying hard. I was the one drinking the most. And it was my identity. And I loved the attention that it gave me. Like literally that was what... I went to Bristol University and...
Oh, Bristol.
And so I was, it was... I loved the kind of limelight of being a bit of a party animal, and I pushed it hard, very, very hard. Like now I think about it and I'm like, Jesus, it's insane. And so it was my best friend's 21st birthday.
Right.
And basically a night gone wrong on various substances.
Were you the one driving?
Pardon?
Were you the one driving the car?
No, we weren't driving. That's the thing.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I was actually, luckily, I didn't put anyone in a position. I didn't do anything illegal in that way.
Right.
But I ended up basically jumping off a table in my kitchen and landing straight through porcelain glass. So it was glass, like porcelain bowl. And it had shattered beforehand.
Wow.
And I went straight through my leg, missed an artery by a few millimeters, and basically lacerated, cut through my quadriceps.
Crazy.
But I was completely out of it. I had this was being told to me, a few days after.
Okay.
But then I wake up.
So you're mostly unconscious all that time?
Well, afterwards. I was, exactly, just out of it. I was still conscious, but... And I basically come to, and I've got 3 paramedics over me.
Wow.
And it's funny because there was such recklessness that was going on at that time, because at that age, you think you're immortal. And
of course,
20, 21, you are literally, it's crazy how different the mind works then. And, I was rushed to hospital and I had an emergency operation there and then.
Wow.
The next day, my friends came in. They were like, this is what happened. And it was... At that moment, I didn't realize that my world was going to shatter.
Talk about it.
Yeah. And then I went from feeling like I was on cloud 9. The world was at my feet. And then, exactly. And people might think this was just an injury, just an accident.
Yeah.
What happened was actually really quite traumatic. Like I'm just scratching the surface, but it was... one of the paramedics said it was the worst thing they'd seen in 5 years.
Wow.
And so I didn't realize it then, but this moment was my Phoenix moment. This moment was whatever higher power, whatever God people want to believe in, was something much greater and bigger than me is telling me, I'm going to give you such an important lesson.
Wow.
And so I went from being a very immature 21-year-old
Wow.
to having to mature very quickly. Because then I spiraled. My body was like full of trauma. Honestly, it was a crazy process of trying to understand what was going on. Because first of all, you're thinking like, why am I having these anxiety attacks? So they started about 3-4 months later.
After the accident?
After the accident.
Yeah.
So I was and they could have, again, I don't know exactly why they happened or started to happen.
Yeah.
Was it trauma in the body? Was it my body trying to release things? Was it lack of flow? Was it the fact that I had all of a sudden become very sedentary because probably all of the above. And so they started in the summer.
Yeah.
So it happened in February. So it started 4 or 5 months later.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Absolutely.
Like, I have no fucking idea what's happening. I hope I can swear.
That's all right, man.
And all of a sudden, I am trying to find. I'm trying to find answers, and so I go back to university for a 4th year to do like a master's year.
Yeah,
and that's when I've got a physio who I see every week.
Okay,
who's she's doing her best, but she's literally trying to get me out of the door.
Yeah.
They put me in group counseling because they don't think I'm like at that stage. They're like, yeah, we think you're fine, and it's like, it was like crazy to think about. So
I mean, the accident and like the events leading after that was clearly like transformational. Like he pretty much had that more impact on your life.
I didn't realize it at the time because I went from I was such a victim. I felt very much like my life has been ruined. My life was so great before.
Yeah.
When actually it wasn't so great. The reality was like, it was actually what the accident gave me was it forced me to try and figure out myself, to figure out who I am.
So what emotions or what were you feeling leading on to that like discovery? Was he anger? Was he resentment? What emotions were you feeling that led you to that discovery or that like, that switch in mindset?
Yeah. So I decided I wanted to throw my life into singing. So I'd always been a singer. I'd been doing opera at university. I'd been doing all the lead operas. So the lead roles in the operas. So I decided I'm going to try and pursue this because I'm good enough at it. And so I got into the Guildhall, which is one of the top opera schools in Europe. And that was really when my education started. And the reason for that is to be a performer, to be an opera singer, an actor, you need to be really in touch with your mind-body connection. You really need to understand how your body is moving. And I started seeing practitioners from the school and they were like, your body is like fucked. Like you are so tense. You're holding so much. And so I was doing honestly everything. Like
what were you holding in? What's like where did that trauma? Where did it accumulate from? What events led to that? That intense internalization of trauma. What led to it?
So you know what? Like it's funny because trauma starts to reveal itself,
of course,
definitely in your 20s, and like you can get by until I think a certain age. It then goes and so a lot of it was the injury. Okay, there was definitely stuff from the childhood,
of course.
Parents got divorced when I was young, all that stuff. But that was definitely the thing that had to get addressed initially. So there was a lot of like crying through hypnotherapy and NLP and then more physical stuff that really helped. Like people forget that the healing of the body is, we hold so much in our body. There's a very famous book, I think it's The Body Tells the Score, or The Body Holds the Score. And then Nidhi Pandya has a book called Your Body Already Knows. So your body holds a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
And so you've got to try and...
I'm just learning more about that now, that a lot of times we go through stuff and it's like, oh yeah, I've overcome it. I'm good now. But a lot of times you don't know how much your body stores all that negative energy, and you don't even see how it's like manifesting until like certain moments and you're like, why have I overreacted? Or why am I kind of stiff? You don't just know how much the body actually tells. Like the body doesn't lie, it tells.
100%.
It tells everything.
Exactly, and that was the journey I had to learn. But it was again, so much tension in the body, like
Absolutely.
crazy level of holding and yeah. But the process for me was and going back to the initial question about hope, the tunnel got lighter and lighter and lighter. And there were some amazing people along the way, like Michelle, who's the psychotherapist I work with, and I've also explored plant medicine with her.
Yeah.
She was such a pivotal person in that journey. And there's been various other people that have really just allowed me to get back into my body. And now I really hope that I could help other people with their journey when they really are really stuck in that tunnel.
Yeah, I hope we can do a bit of that today.
Yeah.
So I mean, with your childhood and all of that experiences, what did all of this reveal to you about yourself? All of these events from the accident to growing up in like the boarding school environment, the opera environment, up until like that discovery that you had, by virtue of the accident that you had. What did all of this reveal to you about yourself as you're grown now and you get it all, like retrospectively? What would you say all that like experience, what did it teach you as a man?
So I would say, and this is for I think every human being, we are the end of a lineage of many, many, many women and men who have been survivors and have gone through so much. They've been through famine, war, hunger, everything. And so we are a direct descendant of that. And so we are so resilient, far more than we ever could imagine, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like getting back in touch with that. We think we could only survive this much. We can survive so much more.
Yeah.
And so through all of that, it's just reminding yourself, like, I am a survivor. I've been, and you carry, like in your DNA, you carry everything. So it's not just like if your great granddad or grandfather or mother went through war. No, you also like technically have gone through war. Like it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
And so you've got that imprinted on you. So for me, it's like resiliency, like 100%. And I would say that's, people are far more resilient, more than they can imagine.
Yeah. So, I mean, you working with a psychotherapist, I reckon, and also I reckon you must have also like explored some kind of like support with, understanding your mental state and understanding how your body works and, processing all of that. What's one thing about mental health today that you feel like a whole lot of people don't necessarily understand, and you feel like, there's, what would you want to like tell people? What would you want to impact in people regarding like mental health much more than, we know it has today?
I think, again, going back to the body. So we do so much talk therapy, and that can help to a certain extent, but we hold so much in our body. So actually getting into more like somatic exercises to try and release a lot of stuff. So people do yoga and Pilates, and that's a good first step. And then you've now got sound baths. But what I would say is we now live in an era where social media, there's so much distraction out there in the world. You turn anywhere, you're going to be distracted. Yeah. And so if you're distracted, you're going to constantly be halting your journey at healing. And so it's like how the issue with today, especially with Gen Z, like the younger generations, is like, that's all they know. So I think it's like, how can you separate yourself from all of that and get back to yourself, your body, your intuition? Because like, if you think about it, like 200 years ago, people were just, what do they have to distract themselves?
Exactly.
And so they were in their bodies, they were being intuitive.
They're present, I
should probably go to bed because, like, you know what, it's getting dark. And as Nidhi Pandya told me on our episode, she said, it's when the bats are like calling, the bats are calling and the sun is setting.
You're saying something.
That's time to go home, right?
Absolutely.
Well, now we're so disconnected. So it's like trying to recognize that and try and get back to self. That is just such an important thing. And you're there. Like it's hard to get there, but you've just got to start removing the distractions. For me, I used to smoke. And so that was the first thing, because every time I was stressed, it's like pulling all that stress back into the body, and remove that. Okay, now I start to realize I have a pattern of like jumping from something. So then it was alcohol. Okay, remove the alcohol. Now it's social media. So it's also like bit by bit, you start to get closer to self and you start to remove all that other shit.
How much progress have you made with social media, taking it out?
You know what?
I'm still struggling.
I'm really struggling. That's another big thing.
Yeah.
We don't realize how much cheap dopamine is affecting
Yeah,
us.
trust me.
And it is...
Trust me, it's the new crack.
It is literally... And
everyone and their mom is unknowingly addicted to this dopamine.
Yeah.
And
it's
like,
crazy.
just random times, you just want to get a quick hit. And it's like... It's never enough. It's literally,
crazy.
I'm like you rightly said, I'm trying to be more aware and more intentional about it, and just like, no, I'm just gonna put it down. Just gonna put, because it's so important. Like you can't even help yourself. Like it's it's a problem.
100%. And like you have the 12-step programs for alcohol and sex addiction, all that. Like, we think that's going to probably become a thing for
at some point in time. I agree.
But for me, when I connect back to self, when I get into nature, then I'm like, what am I even doing scrolling?
Yeah.
It's when I get into that habit of just being like, and for me now, like with podcasts or with like whatever, like you start seeing the analytics and you're like becoming obsessed with like, so you know what, just chill the fuck out, you know?
Just be, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so just gonna pivot a little bit to your experience with the opera, singing. So how did singing, particularly like opera, how did that help in your healing process? Or what did it mean to you?
So it's a really good question because, again, this is getting back to self, getting back to being. When you sing, when you hum, you're like, that's what tribes used to do, right? And still do. And so humming, it creates nitric oxide, actually 16 times more nitric oxide is created than just a normal inhale, right? And so that, for me, it really stimulates your work. First of all, it stimulates your vagus nerve system. But I'll speak in like just practical terms. It relaxes me and then actually removes a lot of the crap that's going on. It gets me back into my body. And so if I want to ever get back to self, I just start humming, and I start humming all day, and I hum intentionally. Yeah. And usually I feel the blocks like removing from my throat and really connecting. So that's the first practical thing. For me, after my injury, when I was having those panic attacks, singing was my only escape. It was my savior, honestly. I would sit there and I'd sing all day, and it would be the only thing. And probably physiologically, what was happening was the vagus nerve system was being activated, and I was feeling more relaxed and more connected to myself because of it. And then the opera, it's funny because the Guildhall as a school, it taught me far more than university ever taught me, because you are put through your pace. Like, it is intense as fuck. It really makes you question, what are you doing? And it was the first time I'd ever really felt significant imposter syndrome, because all of a sudden I was, I thought I was hotshot guy, and I was right at the bottom of the pile. Wow. And I felt it was really, really difficult to take. And so it's funny because you get these people sometimes that just like miraculously seem to be the top of the pile always. Yeah. Eventually you're going to get hit, because if you're, for example, if you're a founder or you're doing anything creative, it's going to be a difficult process.
Initially,
and that's but for me, that was my first humbling. And it was, I had the wrong teacher, and then I went for another teacher, and then I moved to New York and studied with this really good teacher that ended up actually backfiring quite a bit as well. Yeah, because he was a bit of a creep. We're
going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
But you know what? It's funny because it's all part of the making of you, right? Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. It's like, people see all these success stories, but like I sit in these like founder groups and I speak with some of the most successful founders, and no one has it easy that I know of. Everyone has had to go to the lowest of lows. And I think that's just the beauty of it. When we start looking at it as a privilege. We start looking at like being, so for example, now with the podcast that I'm running, whenever it gets tough, I'm like, I celebrate. I say, it's
Something
getting
is
tough.
there.
Because you know why? Every time it's tough, there will be a few people that will quit. There are a few people that will say, this is too tough for me.
Yeah.
So actually, when it's easy, it's like, well, everyone can make
absolutely.
Everyone can make a pretty okay carbonara. It's like it's when you start,
I feel like that's. I feel like when it gets really tough, like I feel like life is checking you. Like, how much do you want it?
Yeah, exactly.
How much do you want it? Like, I feel like that's also like what separates like those who eventually like become great.
Yeah,
that's what separates. That's kind of like how you like just like sift out the substance from the real one. So it's like, how much do you want it? So when it gets really hard, it's like, okay, I just need to like persevere and just take it to the next level. Because obviously at some point in time, every other person who feels some level of inconvenience or pain or pressure just kind of quits or gives up. And it's like eventually it's the person who sticks the longest that eventually, takes the crown. So absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting. And I feel like for you, singing, how much of the process in terms of like you rightly said, feeling like an imposter initially, how much of that have you taken into business or your journey as a founder, entrepreneurship, and life generally? The learnings from that singing environment, being humbled by, feeling like you were like the best and eventually feeling like, okay, I'm not actually that great, but I can be great if I stay put. How much of that did you, take to real life and business?
I would say the biggest learning that I've had, because, you get so much crap shown to you on LinkedIn. So you start to like forget what actually is what you truly believe. I think the most important thing is, there's a saying, follow your passion, when actually you should follow your talent. And so really understand what you're good at. And if you don't know, try and use some sort of methodology or get a coach or someone that is going to be able to really make you aware of what you're good at. I think that's a key thing. Like really understanding what are my strengths. For me, I feel one of my key superpowers is that often when I'm in a room, I can get to know people. Absolutely. I can get to know the right people. And so what I love about, podcasting or investing or whatever is like, that's something I really love doing anyway. So it kind of fits into what I feel like I'm good at.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I'm still learning, and I'm still so far from being there, is with opera, with running a business, with everything that's worth it in life, you have to get really comfortable with rejection. And so
that's the one.
Yeah. And so when I go deep into whenever, even it's a small thing, I still have a bit of victim that comes in. Well, actually it's like, again, it's that the privilege of being able to like get, and sometimes it gets me, I'm getting much better. Before it would be like, oh, there's something, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I doing this? Why? But now it's like, okay, sit with it. Okay. Yeah, of course. Like this is part of the process. I'm very grateful for that. And for me, that has been such an unlock, because I realized in my past, like how burnt out I would get from just beating myself up every time some things went wrong. When actually like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a long journey. And also I was so focused on the result. I want to be on this stage singing in front of this person. I want to have the checks bouncing in, not bouncing back, but
of course.
And now I'm like, fuck all of that. Like the most important thing is that this is going to be the most enjoyable
the process.
Journey. And like, again, it's like, and that's really, I don't know how that shifted in me. I'm so grateful it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of singing for great people, you once performed for Princess Anne.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we as humans, when we're doing stuff, like you need some kind of would I say validation to show that, because you mentioned something about something you're good at, and it's like, how do you know what you're good at? A lot of times, and you say you can have like a methodology and have someone tell you or show you, but oftentimes you kind of need like tangible indications or evidence that maybe I'm kind of good at this. So what did that experience singing in front or performing to, Princess Anne? How did that feel for you? What did it tell you? What did it, what did it tell you about yourself, or what did it prove to you, if I use that phrase?
I'm going to be like really, really honest there. Seeing as we're being vulnerable. There was another singer, a few singers actually, including my ex at the time. And there was a guy he's ended up singing at some of the top opera houses in the world.
Yeah.
And he got all the limelight. And actually, he's a very good singer. And back then I didn't understand why I couldn't get my voice to work. What I now know is that my body was broken from the accident.
Yeah.
And I was holding a lot. And so with opera, you need to be like very relaxed and open and allow the body to do its thing.
Yeah.
But actually, like, I was never going to be able to do that because I still had that journey to go on.
Of course.
And so I would not understand, like, I knew how to perform. I was trying so hard, but I just couldn't. And I think the lesson in that is like sometimes we're experiencing a hard lesson.
Yeah.
And we don't know it in the moment. It's something that we're going to figure out and we can reflect on.
Yeah, retrospectively.
Oprah talks about, like if she could tell her younger self one thing, it would be like, just relax, enjoy the journey.
I was going to ask you that at some point as well.
Yeah. And it's difficult at times to realize that. And I sing much better now than I ever have. And I'm not training every day. And
what changed?
Well, it's really like the mind body, like you
just all being one.
The more relaxed you get in your mind, the more you understand yourself, the more relaxed you get in your body. It's all this positive feedback loop, right? And so then you unlock the voice. If you unlock the mind, you unlock the voice. You unlock the voice, you unlock the mind.
Absolutely.
So you can hear so much about someone from their voice, their singing voice, their speaking voice, from their body language, everything. So it's like, that was being an ongoing process. So and I love singing now, really love it. And before then it was a chore. What
do you love about it now? Is it like freeing? Is it therapeutic?
Exactly. I do it because I want to and I love to. Back then I was like, I felt imprisoned by it initially. Because you're trying to pursue. I feel for these like footballers, you think like how difficult it is to make it as a footballer or something.
I'd have to agree.
And you get there and everyone's calling you shit. And if you're not Messi or whatever, you're made to feel shit. And these are like 0.02% or something.
Yeah.
Any person at like an academy makes it into the Premier League.
Because oftentimes, like, if you do something, like you've got talent, a skill, whatever it is, and you find a way to enjoy it, it changes the outlook for it. And oftentimes, like, you're watching football and it's like, oh, I could do better. I can play better than that person. But oftentimes, like, the context of, like you rightly mentioned now, like a professional footballer, like a Messi, and you who's like, oh, I play football, I play football by myself and, I can score X number of goals or whatever. I feel like the stake is different when it's like on a very high level and like you have to do it for work, not just for fun. So like you saying like, now you enjoy opera, I feel like maybe because you've taken off that pressure.
100%.
So now you kind of just do it because you want to do it and you enjoy it.
Exactly. And I know that it's not going to be the thing that's going to have to put food on the table.
Exactly. Again.
Exactly.
Again. Because obviously I paint, I draw, right? You've got like, artistic skills as well. And I get a few friends saying like, oh, like, artworks are quite, like they're selling for like, X thousand grand. And I'm like, I don't just feel inspired yet, and it's like, so at some point I'm like, okay, I'll try to do something. I got materials, got a painting brush or whatever, and I'm just trying to do it, and it's just not flowing. It's not feeling like it's in my head. I'm trying to do it, to sell it, or I'm literally trying to create art so I can like make it a commodity and sell. So it's like that process just feels, it's just not gonna flow.
Yeah.
But as opposed to on just a regular Friday, I just feel inspired. I pick my brush and I'm just doing it. And it's making sense. I'm enjoying it. Like the whole thing is just flowing naturally. Because I've taken that pressure off myself of create art so you can sell it. Create art so you can sell it. So just your brain just, for some reason, is just not flowing. Like the heart, the brain, the mind, the soul, it's not one. So the whole process doesn't just feel fluid, and it's not. You
just said it, like flow, getting into a flow state.
Exactly.
That's something that I've become obsessed about, which is like, how can you, I should say that after my accident, when I would go onto the opera stage, I would be hit with panic attacks. And so I did not know what was going on.
Yeah.
But I remember I had this final recital and my teacher was like, I was going to cry. I was like, I can't go on stage. I felt such high level anxiety.
Yeah.
And I used to go on stage before the accident and just boss it. I'd be like, so confident.
Yeah.
And so it was someone just basically just slapping you so hard and saying, it was paralyzing, like so paralyzing. But it made me really, really explore how can I get back, not just back actually to this version of myself, because you should be looking backwards. You should be saying, this has been an amazing lesson. And actually, how can I be even better?
Absolutely.
And so how do you get to flow state? It's like...
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I mean, still on the topic of mental health and, wellness and wholesomeness, presence and all that talk. Again, I saw a report that only 30% of millennials feel strongly connected to purpose or connected to purpose at work. And you've pivoted like across multiple industries, right? From opera, journalism, you're a tech entrepreneur. What mindset shift would you say helped you, seek purpose beyond, just paycheck?
Yeah.
So like you've obviously moved across like multiple industries. Like how do you like stay motivated and keep that purpose and, passion? How do you keep it flowing, across all of these different like walks of life?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, first of all, everything I've done has been related to storytelling, like telling a really good story, whether it's opera, whether it's business consulting journalism, where I was writing these kind of large length
podcasting
features and then with podcasting, with being an entrepreneur, you've got to sell a story to investors, to employees, to potential customers. So it's all tied into that. And that's something that I love doing. I love creating a narrative and then, selling it. And that's, I think, the thing that ties everything. For me personally, it's about, so there's two things to look at it. You have to do something you're passionate about but you have to do something you're talented with. So that you're curious for. For me, it's funny because like money is a really important thing. It's an important thing for both men and women,
of course,
especially men. Like the weakest I felt in myself is when I couldn't provide, couldn't be a protector, and so it's really, and I've been there like 100% when we were, as a startup founder, as whenever the thing is, Alex Hormozy talks about he earned enough money and then gave himself this like 2-year, I think, time to basically make it with his first business. And he basically ate like, ramen and pot noodles, whatever, to give himself as long as he could to fulfill his dream. Like so many people want to get out of their shit jobs, their 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
And it's how do you give yourself enough time?
Yeah.
I'm just going to put my hands up and be like, I'm really privileged. So and part of that is because I come from a Lebanese family.
Okay.
And the Lebanese structure is that we will never let someone go and struggle. And so I've always had
a support system.
A support, exactly. And so it comes, and I'm sure you understand this with Nigerian culture as well, but it comes at a cost as well. It means that people are very much like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you not doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you working this?
Yeah.
Get back in the straight and narrow, do something that's stable, all that. So you've constantly got that. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be left on the street. And so there's always going to be, a bed. And so it's like...
Yeah, I mean, for yourself, having that safety net, it kind of helps. But like for someone who's watching now who, is caught between trying to survive, trying to provide, and trying to chase their passion, their dream, their purpose, like how do you balance it out? So like you've got to pay the bills, but you're also trying to grow your career as a musician or as an artist or something. What would you say to such a person who is trying to find that balance? Yeah. Who's not privileged?
Yeah, for sure. So last 2 years, I went back into the kind of having a normal job and it paid me, luckily I was paid very well. And I then started working on a few passion projects, including my podcast.
Yeah.
And I'd spend, my evenings working on the podcast. It comes at a cost though. And something that, so I broke up with my ex in September. And part of it was I was so obsessed with my work. And something I've realized in this whole journey is is how you turn up to things. Like, how can you give everything to what you're doing?
Yeah.
Whether it's your job, whether it's really giving to the side project that you're trying to get off the ground.
Yeah.
And wherever it's really giving to the people that love you and that you love, your family, your partner, everything. And so the way that I'm trying to create that in my life right now is when I'm with you, Adeji, when I'm with my future partner, when I'm with my guests, when I'm with my whoever, that I can give them as much presence as possible. We talked about the phone earlier, like how we can remove all of that. How can we get back into our bodies? I think if you do that and you really bring things back to the moment and you just get on that journey, things will start working, things will start happening, and trusting. And really trying to get out of that victim mindset. Oh, nothing happens to me. Look at that person. All this shit on your phone is created for that. Like even just Ashton Hall, who's like blown up the last 5 months or whatever, couple of months. His journey, you think about his struggle. And also he made it because he was really good, but he also had a massive amount of luck on his side. There's so many other people trying to do what he's doing that are not. They're still, struggling as well. So it's and for me, summing this all up is, I still catch myself. How do you, and I call it loving kindness, which is a weird phrase. How can you always be kind to yourself? Get back to your heart and say, damn, man, I can be a fucking hard critic of myself. I can be so harsh on myself. And I think it's because a lot of, you talk about the culture, you talk about in the UK, for example, it's obedience and tough.
I call it grace. Right, I call it grace, giving yourself that grace, because it's difficult. It's easier said than done, because there's a lot to compare yourself with. There are certain societal landmarks, or more okay, at a certain age you should have done this. At a certain age, you should have done that. You should have had this. You should be on the property ladder. You should have figured out your career. You should have So it's difficult to to block out all that noise and find a way to give yourself grace and still be very aspirational, still be very driven and focused. So it's how do you find that balance between, like you said it, loving kindness, grace, whatever we call it? How do you find a good sweet spot between being considerate and gracious towards yourself and also keeping that fire burning, keeping that aspiration? It's how do you find, that very good balance? Because it's you're supposed to strive, for better. You're supposed to aspire for more, but still just be a bit, give yourself that loving kindness. How would you navigate that complexity?
Yeah, it's funny. It's can you be really on it? And also be kind to yourself? That's a super interesting question. And I actually find that my best work comes when I'm being kind to myself, because I feel very energized, and it means that I can work later and longer. I don't tire myself out. The times that I feel when I start having that negative self-talk, that's when I feel I want to throw the towel in.
Absolutely.
That's also when I feel I want to start binging on food, or, and that's when I want to get on my phone. So when I'm kind to myself, really allow myself to do my meditation in the morning, go for a walk, getting in touch with nature, then when I go into my work, I'm bossing it, and I'm also just on it. And so I really feel it's a positive cycle, and it's just reminding yourself to not get into that negative cycle where you're beating yourself up.
Yeah, because the way I work with it personally is I just always say just do your best. Just with everything, right? Because when the baseline, or the standard, or how to evaluate how well you're doing or whatever, once it's external, it's out of your control. And it's always like shape shifting, like the goalposts always keep being moved when like how you measure your success, how you measure fulfillment is not internal. If it's external, there's never going to be like that consistent, point where you feel like, oh, you're good, you're doing well, or you're whatever. But when you know that with everything you do, with work, with like your side projects, with family, with friends, with your health, whatever it is, if you make a commitment to yourself that whatever I do, I'll give it 100. I'll do my best with it. I feel like it makes me personally sleep at night, like sleep well at night with it. I know today, did you do your best? Yes. With that work, did you do your best? Yes. Was it excellent? Maybe not. But did you do your best? Yes. I guess that's just good enough. Because it takes the power back to yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing you've made that commitment to yourself that whatever it is that you're going to do, just do your best. I feel like it just gives me peace, really, because it's difficult.
That's, like 100%. Like there's nothing, it brings tears to my eyes when I actually allow myself to say, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, man.
And it can be such a small thing. It could be the smallest win ever.
Yeah.
Tiny, like people
celebrate small wins. Every win is a win.
It could just be someone like saying like, hey, you're looking good today, or like whatever it is, just like it can be beautiful. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, still on the data and whatnot, again, 6-7% of younger entrepreneurs say chasing passion has caused even more financial stress. Because we're like in a time where it's like, oh, you have to have a business, like a side business, multiple streams of income, so it's like there's this like conversation or debate around, oh, just find a stable job, just grow there and all of that. And it's like, there's also this, trend about everyone should have a business. Everyone should have like a side hustle. And, just checking out the data, it's like more people are saying, it's like you might even find more peace just having like a consistent career that you're growing, as opposed to having like, trying to grow a business, which obviously has much more stress. Like it's a lot of times like, the idea of having a business or like having, starting something is it's not emphasized enough how stressful it can be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been on both sides. How would you compare, having a career, doing your best, growing it and, just developing along that trajectory compared to, leaving that safety net in quote of having a job and trying to grow a business? You've been on both sides. How would you compare both, and what will you what's your recommendation?
It's funny, I don't know if you saw the Dan Priestley debate with Gary Stevenson on Diary of a CEO. Dan is
I saw that, but I didn't see the entire thing, but I saw a bit of it.
So Dan's a friend of mine, and what I would say is, how to phrase this. So Dan says that everyone should start a personal brand now because it's like the time, it's where...
Yeah.
I do think like some people, it is tough to set up a really good personal brand, to set up a business, to do all these things. That shouldn't deter people, but you need to have conviction in yourself and belief. So this is like, if you really feel like you shouldn't just do it for the sake of it, it's such an obvious thing to say. You should have real conviction. I think the biggest barrier to conviction right now is like the naysayers or people around you, whatever thing you have in your head telling you this could go wrong, right? So from my end, like I still have these weird, things on my shoulder telling me, oh yeah, what's going to happen? You're going to post that, it's going to look shit, whatever. And those are like the naysayers, whatever you want to call it. Like there's the Chimp Paradox, which is a really good book by Dr. Peters, and he's a top sports psychologist. And he talks about this, we have our chimp brain, and then we have our, again, I can't remember, is the prefrontal or the amygdala, whatever. It's like, but that's the fear, it's the amygdala. So it's like the fear that's telling you, things are going to go wrong, you shouldn't do it. It comes down to safety. And so if you can get past that, that is the main thing. It's like, how can you start to pivot your brain to tell yourself, let's fucking do this. And let's go, when you have this feeling of fear, go into it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's another great book. But I think that's really what it comes down to. But don't just do it because everyone else is doing it. Have real conviction that that's something you really want to do. It could be a food Instagram channel. It could be, yeah.
From your experience, you've walked away from like 3 entire careers. You've had a career in opera, journalism, tech. How do you discern when it's time to make that switch?
Such a good word, son. So I'm going to caveat. So the journalistic side, I still do because of the podcasting. The singing side, I still do. It's just not in a professional context. The founder, like tech stuff, that's still running through everything I do.
Of course.
So I really want to caveat this because I've done a few other podcasts and they were like, oh, you've done this and that. For me, they all come into one. And so it's like, we're all gathering random skills.
Yeah.
And I think because when we're like 21 or 16 at school or 21 at university, our parents, especially from certain cultures, they tell us, you have to be an engineer, doctor, or a lawyer. You've got to do this, and it's a thing for life.
Yeah.
For me, that feels very archaic now. It's like, how can you give yourself, like, the world is going to change so much, way more than anyone can imagine, right? In like 5 years' time, the amount of jobs that are going to be disrupted by AI, it's nothing you can imagine.
That's another conversation, yeah.
Exactly. And so I think really it's to say, Scott Galloway, great
guy,
exactly. But he talks about like and I asked Peter Diamandis, a lot of people about this. If you have a 13-year-old son, what would you teach them? What would you tell them they should learn right now?
Yeah.
And Scott says, teach them to be confident, right? That is the main thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's what I would say is it's been my journey. I'm so grateful for it. For someone who's like wants stability, they probably look at my life and think, fucking hell, what has he done? But I've been able to create a lot of opportunity from it. I've been able to have some financial success. I've had incredible experiences. And I'm so happy I'm on that journey. But that is my journey and I feel very lucky for it. Would I recommend it for everyone? Absolutely not. But I do think whilst it looks like I've had like 3 careers, actually they're still all ongoing.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm probably not going to be a professional opera singer, but whenever I enter a room, people say, oh, it's Julian, he's an opera singer.
Yeah.
And so it's actually it's something. I only studied opera for like 2 years at postgrad, and I only did opera until I was like 24.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be part of my identity.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times you get this this commentary regarding, focus and, consistency. And there's this very popular adage, jack of all trade, master of none. Even though that's half of it, because I just recently learned that the entire thing is, I think, better jack, better something. It's
really,
like
it's another part of it.
Yeah. That's just jack of all trade, master of none. It's just half of it, right?
Okay.
So I think it still extends to better a jack of all trade than a master of none or something like that. I think that's the entire thing. I mean, the commentary regarding jack of all trade, master of none and whatnot, what would you like advise for someone who's obviously got, like, they call them like multi-potentialite, who's got like multiple things they're interested in, sometimes unrelated, because you said in your case now, like, it's all like still kind of like there's a thread that kind of connects all of it, which is storytelling. So for a person who's probably got like multiple interests and has equal desire, equal passion for all of these different interests, what would you advise in terms of how to like coordinate all of these different interests and, have all of them sort of like thrive?
So it's a really good question. Again, it's like how, I think most things you can, it really depends on the context, but I think most things you can, there's going to be synergy with most things. Yeah. I feel, and if there's not, like, you've just, again, it's
find the synergy, right?
Ikigai or whatever. You got to find what are you like really actually good at?
What the world wants.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but it's also, again, as I can speak as a man, but this is for everyone, like being able to earn money, like being able to be a provider
that's the most.
It's such an important thing for a man. And it's like something that I'm constantly faced with when I decide to like do a little side hustle. And I'm like, well, I'm going to like reduce my earning potential here. But it's because I foresee that something bigger and will come out of it. But it's, so like doing something that you like, if you can do something you enjoy and earn money from it, like somewhat enjoy, or do something you enjoy and earn a pretty good salary, like I think that's the first step of the way there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you on that one because I mean, I've also find myself in cases where I'm having to like determine where to put my energy. 'Cause I mentioned earlier now with my interest in art and feeling unmotivated to do it at some point in time, because in my head I'm like, it's a very jealous, activity. Art is time consuming. It's energy sapping.
Yeah.
And in my head is like, if I do that, like, am I guaranteed there's an outcome that leads to income? Otherwise, I'm not sure how to, deploy energy in that direction now. Because a lot of times in my head is like, for every activity, and I mean, art, I mean, you could do it just for like the fun of it, but you get to a point where most of your decisions, unfortunately, would be determined or would be influenced by the potential to make income from it or the potential to, maximize value, and in this case, money. So I completely understand that, that complexity. You know,
very few people, like, it's funny because most people start these passions just like because they love it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's how it should be, actually.
Yeah, and when you love something, like, people just get, it's when you try and I'm going to create these things. I'm going to create this YouTube channel. I'm going to be a influencer because I want to make money. I think it rarely works when money is we talked about it earlier. It's like, just how can you get back to really enjoying something? And it sometimes can become difficult putting out content every week. And but if you're still just trying to enjoy it as much as possible.
Absolutely. So now we're going to speak on, is it called Feather, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You built Feather during COVID.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that was like one of the most, like, the loneliest periods, like, in modern human history, if I'll describe it as such. What were like the unseen emotional battles, that you fought as the founder of this this big brand, during that very momentary, era?
Yeah, I wish it was a big brand, but like we tried to make it as big a brand as possible, and we were faced with a lot of challenges. And I feel like the concept itself was really cool, and how we started it.
Absolutely.
How we executed it, we could have done much better. And like now in hindsight, like there's probably a bit of shame as to how we went about executing it. And that's a conversation for another time. But I learned so much as a first-time founder about how to run a business, how to bring on the right people, how to raise more money than you would ever think, how to think much bigger than you should think. And so it was a massive learning experience. But for me, the biggest gift I got from Feather was that I would spend, because we'd start doing these workshops across the whole country with top student accommodation providers, workspaces. And so I would often get involved with these workshops because I wanted to, and I was, with the singing and everything. So, and the feedback we were getting from these people was just incredible. And so actually living and breathing what we were trying to do, we were trying to create this algorithm for friendship. We were trying to reduce the loneliness epidemic. We were trying many different aspects of it. And the pivot eventually gave us money, and we had a small exit. We were trying to chew off more than we knew at the time. There's a really good book by Vivek Murthy, which I talk about a lot, called Together. And in that book, he talks about how if you really want to reduce loneliness, which is a huge epidemic right now, it has to be a multi-pronged approach.
Interesting.
Government, local government, private sector, public sector. We're getting there, and I'm happy that Feather was part of that journey, and that also I've been able to advise other companies in that space that are looking at reducing loneliness as well. So it's going to be an interesting time with AI and everything.
Absolutely.
Coming, but let's see.
Have you exited now, or are you still driving the business?
So we exited in 2023. So I'm completely outside of the business. But yeah.
Any future plans to still, come into that line of work?
So I'm like, right now, I'm all in on longevity and health. That for
Absolutely.
me is the space that I really see myself, not forever, maybe for a very long time. You never say never. And the reason for that is everything I've discussed today, which
Absolutely.
is like the health optimization journey, the healing journey, which became an optimization journey for me, was so impactful that I've said, I want to give my life, I want to give my everything to this space, because it had such a huge impact on me, both my mind, my body, spirit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that I want to give back. And like, part of that is why I started the Beyond Tomorrow podcast, because it gives me a channel to speak to the people that are building a better tomorrow for not just me, but for everyone, for my audience, everyone. So I feel very privileged in that. And I also now am starting to invest in the space.
When was that seed sown? Sorry. I was going to say, when was that seed or that passion, desire, fire for, for wellness and all this good stuff? When was that seed sown in yourself?
It's funny, I don't know if you remember, like back when I was at 16, 17, there would be someone going to see a therapist, like a counselor, like one person, like 2 times removed, and be like, whoa, what is wrong with that person?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, thank God how much the world has changed, right?
Yeah, it was a big deal back then.
Yeah,
like it was such a big deal. Like you're going therapy, you're
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, actually, in the US, things moved quicker, like earlier. But for me, it was like this stuff, and actually being able to open about this stuff, and actually happened during COVID.
Yeah.
Beforehand, I was going to like see this hypnotherapist, and I was seeing, because of opera, I was doing like acupuncture, I was doing everything. Like, and I was, because of my time with opera, which is a very holistic journey of the mind and body.
Yeah.
I started opening myself to all these possibilities.
Yeah.
And that is really when the seed got sowed, like was being sowed.
Yeah.
And then it kind of evolved. But then just before COVID, I started exploring people like Dave Asprey and Jim Quick and then during COVID, it just like boomed. And so that was like my like fertile ground to like really understand the mind body. And then you start getting like wearables like Whoop and all this, and all of a sudden you're just like, okay, like I can make a real impact, not just on my health, but the health of others as well.
Yeah.
But it comes down to awareness, like going back to the first question you asked, like one of the first questions, like how can you become more aware of self?
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you personally differentiate, because obviously you've experienced that a lot in your journey. How do you differentiate when, like in your entrepreneurship journey, you're facing difficulty? How can you tell when, it's a time for you to just persevere and just, stick with it and just grind on it, as opposed to when it's like an indication that maybe it's time to,
Such a
just
good question.
call it quits?
And I would love to hear from like other like founders, everyone.
Yeah.
For me personally, Stephen Bartlett talks a lot about this. Like you have to learn when to quit.
Yeah.
I personally think when it really isn't going your way, as in when you've hit such a wall and it shouldn't be so hard.
Yeah.
It should be really hard, but there should be a steady stream. But if you're like literally against the wall and there's no movement happening, and you're seeing that for quite some time, it's time to pivot. Like that is where because I think there should be some flow. And that's why you should do something that you're talented at, because that's your advantage. Like something that you're, it's like giving a basketball to a player that's like, he's pretty good, but everyone is twice as good as him.
Yeah.
But he's also like an amazing baseball player.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just too short to ever make it in basketball as much. It's a kind of it's a tough balance, right? It's like, because it's a really tough balance. And I'm maybe not the best person to give you the best answer.
I hear you on that one, because obviously it's a question that kind of plays in my head as well. Like, and I think your perspective is quite considerable. Like it's quite valid, because I mean, it's natural for things to be hard, but like you rightly said, when it feels a bit too hard or it's like too much, you need to exert too much effort and pressure and, you know, resilience, then that could be an indication that maybe not this one or maybe not now. You know, I think that's a good perspective to actually consider, because it's a dilemma that a lot of people face. It's like, oh, it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah.
You know, even like with love, relationships, you know, many things, like it's natural to feel some strain, pressure, but when it feels too hard, maybe that's a sign.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head with the relationship.
Is that something you personally resonate with? Or you rather not say?
I think I've learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way, but that's also been a lesson for me to figure out.
That's fair. Speaking of hard things, right? From your experience with starting Feather, you know, obviously during COVID and growing the brand to a certain extent and exiting as well, retrospectively, what learnings have you taken from that experience that you would want to pass on to like young entrepreneurs? The wins, the losses.
God, I keep on repeating this. Like it's such an important thing, because people talk about passion a lot. You have to follow your talent. I think I've said it 4th time in this episode. But the reason why I say that is like everyone has got a superpower. And you need to then understand what your superpower is. So really understanding your strengths and weaknesses. What is your superpower? And then bring 2 people on the journey with you that also have superpowers that are different to yours. And actually that you really get along. Yeah. And so often we're like, oh my God, someone wants to start something with me. Oh, fantastic. Great. Actually, you've got to be more discerning, right? You've got to really think, is this the right person to start a business with? Yeah. Are these the right investors? Is this the right environment? Yeah. You know, is this the right market? It might be that you have incredible expertise in the market in Lagos. Yeah. And so, which is a much larger market than, I don't know, Southeast London or wherever, like North London, Edinburgh. And so it's like, first of all, understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. Yeah. And what your unfair advantage or your the unique thing that you can give to the world as well. And so that is going to make the first year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, so much easier. It's going to get you out of the blocks quicker. And so now, like, again, in hindsight, I got it so wrong. But that's because everything is a mirror of what you need to learn at that time. And so the bigger the mistakes, the bigger the falls, often the bigger the lessons. Yeah. And so you can really quickly understand, like, what did I do wrong here? What did I do right? And so I'm proud of how I execute now. I'm really proud of how I execute, because I know I'm doing the best I can with the information I know. Yeah. And that's the best that I can do. Back then, I was like, I was so unaware of like what. Can I just mention it quickly that it's, for me, a lot of it was overcoming my people-pleasing tendencies.
Ooh, and actually speak on it.
Because actually sometimes, like, the kind thing to do is to tell someone, you know what, this is not working. Yeah. You know, we stay in these situations.
Having the hard conversations.
Like removing the pleaser, like going straight to the point. And so, yeah, it's funny, like even talking about it now, I find myself like, there's always going to be this, it's like you see it manifest too much, but like it gets in the way. That's.
I'd have to agree with you. I mean, being an entrepreneur, growing a business from the scratch, ground up, I think you have to be as resolute, as brutal and decisive, and like you said, being very just having hard conversations, you know, earlier than later. I think that's a very key key component. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to take away. And I mean, there are many people who feel trapped, you know, with this, because you mentioned again, like with the culture you grew up in, the Lebanese culture, which is not different from like the Nigerian African culture as well. There's a lot of expectations that family, friends, community, you know, society have of you. So how can you, you know, advise a person who's like, you know, caught up between that expectation that people have of them and their own plan or their own, you know, flow, their own, you know, progression? How can they balance out, this is what I want to do, but this is what they expect me to do? You know, the society, community, family have so much expectation of you, but obviously you have your own plan. How can you like balance that out? Is this something you've experienced or something you can speak on?
Is this something I've experienced? Man, it's been my life from day dot.
Oh my goodness, speak on it then. How can
very similar cultures.
Yeah.
So, my God, it's funny because like when I go back to Lebanon, it's like the amount of people I meet that do the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
It's like they work in finance, they work this, they work that, and it's like they are like typical of like what is expected, the expectations of society, of parents, of this and that. And actually what it creates is quite a rigid mold of something that is just not very I don't see people that are individual and or have their own like individual qualities in that way. So we're all unfortunately conditioned by and there's validity and like value in being conditioned to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, absolutely.
Being aware of that conditioning for sure.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's again my therapist Michelle talks about follow your bliss and like, get what really makes you hum. And I was actually just at the gym in Canary Wharf, and it's funny when I go to Canary Wharf and I see the crowds of people there. Sometimes you feel this sense of like a lot of people that are probably not doing something they love. I'm not gonna. I don't want to judge, but it's like the energy that I get from it's. I think there's always going to be a cost. Of following the conditioning rather than following your bliss, following what you're meant to do. And so I believe that when you're in a flow state in what you're doing, you're really connected with that thing and you're in a state of bliss, things will come for you.
Naturally, it's more effortless. It's more...
Exactly. And then you'll get the pat on the back from whoever saying, I'm proud of you. And like that is...
Eventually, right? I can relate to that one. Because, I mean, in my culture, I mean, it's changing now, like in most recent, like, I'll say like 2 decades now, like it's changing. And obviously, like you rightly noted, when certain people start to like defy the odds and just... blaze their own trail, eventually they might get ostracized by the community, but eventually they get that tap on the back when they eventually, make success with it. So I mean, traditionally, like it's like you're either being a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or just this very like, traditional career paths. So it's like you're trying to be an artist, you're trying to be a comedian, you're trying to be a stylist, a creative, like it's frowned upon. But like I said, recently now a few people have done it, and obviously I mean did it to like the height of it, and I feel like that's opened the way for more people to be like, oh, that person did it and he did it well, so I can do it too.
100%. You've got to be the trailblazer, right? You've got to be all in. I think that's the key thing. It's like, don't do something half-assed. If you're going to go against the conditioning,
you might as well,
you have to go all in. You can't like, dip your toe in. You've got to be all in.
Absolutely.
That's another thing to say to any aspiring entrepreneurs. You have to be all in.
So what do you believe like is the most, the greatest emotional crisis of this generation? Emotional wellness, mental health crisis of this generation, other than like phone addiction as well? Like what else do you think is like a major problem that you've noted being like a wellness,
It's funny, I watched Adolescence.
I'm yet to see it.
On Netflix the other day, and again, Scott Galloway, like what he talks about, this whole kind of incel culture that we're seeing, involuntary celibates. And I think it's just really like a really sad state. And I think it, from what I observe, and I've got lots of younger cousins, I observe it being a much bigger issue in the West than it is in, for example, like what I know in like Lebanon. And the reason for that is I think the kind of the nature of the social construct that we see in, I feel in places like Lebanon, it's still very, very strong. And so you still have that kind of, there isn't that sort of teasing or bullying in schools. It's just like still going back to, that's just my perspective. I think the nature of life, sometimes I feel like almost disconnected with, it's quite easy to feel disconnected from a younger generation just because their challenges are going to be different.
Peculiar.
It's funny, I yeah, it's like, how often do you spend time with an 18-year-old now? It's like I was reading a stat or something that we're online like 50 or 60% of the time. And it's when you see the graph, like it's always been like friends, family, this, that, like more interaction with other people in society. Like now, like the interactions really are.
Yeah.
I think that the challenge for the younger generation is you've gone from being so connected to nature, so connected to humans, to now just living a life this has been so well documented, but it's like the effect of dopamine, just in like cheap dopamine, like we do not understand like how that's going to affect our brains in like 30 years time. It's like we might like start, I was thinking about like what happens if we start dropping dead at like 60? Again, that's not going to happen. But it's
I think it's a ticking time bomb as well. I think we obviously, like with many crises, like in past generations, you don't necessarily see like with like in the crack epidemic, obviously in some parts of like, you know, Northern America and some parts of the world as well, like the implications of it, you don't necessarily see it in real time until like couple of years or decades down the line, and you see retrospectively and you see how much impact it's had over like a wide population, and you start to see like the ripple effect over years and over generations. I feel like with the current social media epidemic, you know, dopamine addiction epidemic, I feel like we would not see how bad it is, like you rightly noted, until, you know, farther down the line. And with what AI is kind of bringing across, you know, the metaverse and all of this, you know, next level stuff, I feel like, you know, it's quite concerning.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I feel like we won't know how bad it is just yet.
Yeah, but I you know, necessity is the mother of invention, and I feel we'll sort it out. Whatever happens, there's going to be, we're going to sort it out. So I have real trust in humanity. I also think there's greater consciousness coming. I think people are gonna. I think it's going to get worse than it gets before it gets better. But I think it will get better soon.
I like to be hopeful like yourself. I like to be hopeful like yourself, man. And I mean, again, just circling back to your experience with Building Feather, what knowledge or what discovery about the human behavior shocked you the most in your interaction with communities? Like you said, just being out there, you know, feeling what the customers want and just interacting with focus groups and all that. What was your discovery about humanity or humans or the customers that really shocked you the most?
What I would say is we would work with a lot of international students and some British students. And I really felt for a lot of... So when I went to university, I was I was at the big parties, you know, like freshers, all that stuff. And you're just getting drunk, you're having what you believe is having a great fucking time, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to abide by that kind of like way of partying and you're probably going to have a very different experience. And so with a lot of the international students that we worked with, they were so grateful for the work we were doing. A lot of them were very lonely and felt very isolated, and actually were having it's actually an important thing because a lot of government revenue and university revenue comes from international students. And so it's really important for the government and also these universities to recognize what huge challenge they have on their hands to make international students feel engaged in the experience. What I would say is that when we worked with British students, a lot of them were like very dismissive. Like, what are you doing? Come on, like trying to look cool, and a lot of these international students were just being themselves. And so it's like, I think there's a bit of a disconnect with some of the youth culture in the UK, and I don't know what it is, but I think there's this idea of trying to look cool or whatever, and. Yeah, we actually struggle quite a bit with the British students.
Wow.
So,
what do you think is driving that, or what do you think is leading, or what's driving this?
There's a lot of peer pressure, especially from guys to look cool, to be the kind of class clown. I was definitely that at times, like to be the cool guy who was like, oh yeah, what's this? I think there's other cultures that are just they teach people to be a bit kinder. I think that's, there's politeness and niceness in the British culture at times. Don't get me wrong, like I'm very proud to be British and very proud of everything that's come my way because of the fact that I'm British and I was born here.
Yeah.
But that's what I saw. I saw that it was, if you weren't part of that crowd, it was difficult at some of the universities that we visited.
That's quite crazy. That's quite concerning, actually. And I mean, just pivoting that to the subject of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the very first thing that you would tell someone who feels, trapped in that feeling of imposter syndrome and is trying to get out of it? Have you felt it?
Have I felt imposter? Oh my God. I have battled with imposter syndrome big time. And so the question you should always ask yourself is, when you're feeling like an imposter, you should give yourself a massive pat on the back and be like,
oh, wow.
I am challenging myself. Because actually, like, whenever you're feeling like an imposter, you're entering a new level. Let's gamify it, right? You're entering level 2, where like you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so eventually level 2 will become easy and you won't feel imposter. But then you'll move to a bigger, higher level.
Another level of
and so you'll start feeling imposter again. And so that will continue. So it should continue. You should have a feeling of like, oh my God, what's this? But then when you start recognizing this is just a process, this is actually like, but like tools to deal with it. Wow, there's, I think, so many tools. I think really getting into your body. Because when you're feeling like an imposter, you're just like really stuck in your head. So it's like, how can you get into your body? That's like, how can you start feeling into your body? And so there's a lot of like breath work that people do, meditation, trying to get into your heart, like it's to be kind to yourself, to be like, actually like, but above all, actually, it's gratitude. So for example, like if you're about to go on stage or you're about to do a comedy show, or you're about to do a podcast, be like, I am so grateful for this. And like, rather than be like, oh, I'm so scared. Like, what the fuck? Like, will they judge me? Will they think I'm shit? It's like, no, just be like, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to sit down with you, sing in front of this person,
beautiful
dance, whatever.
perspective.
And that's the gratitude that
Beautiful
like,
perspective.
Gratitude changes everything. So
beautiful perspective. That's something I'm going to take away.
Good, great.
Good perspective. And I mean, still on that topic, there's, like you rightly noted, there's more awareness, more intentionality, more people are, exploring, mental health support, therapy and all of that. And I feel like with many of these people, there's this aspiration for I want to be fully healed. I want to be wholesome. I want to be fully healed. Is the idea of a fully healed individual, is it a myth, or do you think it's possible to be fully healed?
So my friend, he talks about this, like there's different stages of like enlightenment, and there's actually, you get to a point where you can be like fully enlightened.
Yeah.
And so someone has actually framed that, I don't know who the author is, but I think there are stages, but I think we are really always going to be a work in progress. And it's just going to, and that's part of like the beauty of life. And so we have different, I call them initiations. And so the initiations will change and hopefully we'll be able to deal with them better. We should really. But I think there's a lot of people that are they're really chasing this, and they're addicted to like the spiritual journey and the journey of healing. And it's like, they end up in Bali or whatever, and they do the same, they stay there for 3, 4, 6 months, whatever it is. And so I think eventually you have to like accept that this is part of life, right? Life is, we are so complex, we're such complex beings, and there's so much going on. There's so many different energies. So I think just becoming more in tune with yourself, more aware of yourself, recognizing that like some things are just difficult to explain. They'll become easier to explain. And eventually there'll be peace. But like, I think there's different levels to it.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with you as well. Because, it's something that, most people, aspire to be, like I said, now that more people are aware of the tools, tools of healing, therapy and all of that. So I feel like, look, it's possible to kind of like just become obsessed with that, I want to just, fix this and fix that. So it's like, I feel like you rightly said, it's kind of in levels. And the more you know about yourself, the more you know you have to, fix and improve upon. So I feel like it's a never-ending journey, because again, you're probably a worker, then you become a husband. Yeah. There's another, world of healing you probably have to do. Then you become a father. It's another like world of healing you have to do. So I feel like it's definitely going to be like, constantly evolving. 100%. I feel like you never actually fully heal. You kind of just keep, just learning and unlearning. Yeah. I mean, just for a final question now, if you've got the microphone and the world is listening, like you have the attention of every single 6-point-something billion people on earth, maybe 7 now, I don't know. Yeah. And like, Mike, what message would you have for the world? If you've got their attention for the next 10 seconds, what's your message? Would you experience, starting businesses, Feather and the other, ventures, you having like, delved into, opera, singing, you with the wellness and all of that good stuff you're doing? What message do you have for us for 10 seconds?
Wow, that is like such a mic. I'll probably drop the mic.
The time is ticking.
It's such an obvious message, but like, love. If you can start by loving yourself, like that, like energetically is just going to make you love everyone around you and give so much love to others. So if we can all just start with just being kinder to ourselves, like the seismic effect of that it's going to be huge. And I feel like we're getting there. I think as humans, like I think there's we're going to go through a lot of grief the next like few years, but I feel after that, it's going to be like, again, this is over 10 seconds, but it's the kind of saying around like diamonds are created under an incredible amount of pressure. And so life has taught me one thing, like times you fall hardest, like the post-traumatic growth, like everything that comes out of that. So I think a lot of it is like coming back to love self, like love yourself. Like if you can really love yourself, then you can start really feeling that love to others.
I think that's profound. Because I think everything all boils down to love.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest and most impactful message you can ever have. I feel like that's the code, that's the cure to like many and almost every form of like human complexity. Self-love, loving your neighbor, and loving your God that you serve, whichever one that is.
100%.
Thank you very much for your time. I think it's been a beautiful conversation, and very honored to have this. Okay, yeah. So, obviously, your podcast is up and running now, and you're obviously sharing good information regarding wellness and well-being. Can you just talk us through on what your podcast is about, and how we can find you, and what platforms you're on currently?
Of course, yeah. It's the Beyond Tomorrow podcast with Julian Issa. And we're giving you the ideas, the innovations and breakthroughs that are going to change your tomorrow. Absolutely. And we're really focusing on longevity, human potential, health, AI as well. And you can find us on every platform. So Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast. And looking forward to seeing you on here and
why did you start the podcast? Like, what's the key message and what's the vision and what's the goal for it? What do you intend to achieve with the message? Again,
just coming back to like just trying to enjoy it as much as possible, but like it comes back to like the journey that I've been on, right? It's like, and also that it's something that I really love, and I've done a lot of interviews like with journalism, so it's combining the talent that I have, but also something that I really love. So the Ikigai is there. And I'm all in on this space for life. So I'm quite confident that, it's going to be packed with good quality information and knowledge. Thanks so much. Definitely going to be looking out for it as well. Thank you, buddy. Thank you again for your time, man. Thank you again, man. Beautiful.